So why are investors so worried about Evergrande again?
Yes, so once again, we're here. Signs of stress hitting Evergrande. It's Asia's largest issuer of junk bonds. And essentially, investors are really worried about its financial health. So we had reports that Evergrande has been placed on a watch list by China's biggest credit onshore rating firm, and also that it's missed payments on some of its commercial debts. And once again, we're seeing that banks are being asked to test their exposure to Evergrande. So real concern about the kind of broader implications about what financial risk means if we start to see any kind of crisis or any kind of major stress show up at this borrower again.
Evergrande, of course, is Asia's biggest junk bond issuer. Are fears of contagion risk still there as signs of stress are starting to resurface?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's another really key question here. The other thing we can't ignore, of course, is on the one hand, we have China Evergrande facing stress, China's biggest junk bond issuer, as you say. And on the other hand, we already have real concerns about Huarong. So what we have are these two major players, major borrowers in Asia and China's bond markets, really facing a lot of investor scrutiny right now. Just together, they make up about 5% of China's dollar bond market. But more broadly, when we start to think about the real estate sector on the one hand, the asset managers and the financial sector on the other, there is really a lot of potential risk here. And the concern as well is not just, I think, that investors might panic and that good credits could be drowned with bad, but also the more fundamental question of whether or not Beijing is going to continue to support firms like these that once were considered really systemic and once were considered essentially too big to fail.
So, Rebecca, what does this also mean for the billionaire himself, Hui Ka Yan of Evergrande?
Yes, certainly a lot at stake for him. At 19 billion, we've already seen his finances fall by, his personal wealth fall by about a third since we had that crisis in September last year. And I think, the other question with him, of course, is whether or not he'll be able to muster that support from some of his friends. We've seen in the past that when Evergrande has run into trouble, he's been able to garner support from some of his high wealth individuals friends to either help buy the stock or help support the bond prices. So the question again, of course, is whether or not he'll be able to garner that.